John, without further ado, want to tell us a little bit about Jujikatami?
It's fascinating we're talking about this. We're just filming it all day, and in between various takes, we often discuss the history of Judogatame, how it became such a big part of jiu-jitsu, sambo, and judo. It's got a fascinating history and some strange elements involved. I'm sure most of you are aware that uh, grappling has been a more or less documented sport for many thousands of years. There are many ancient drawings of human beings engaging in what is obviously some kind of wrestling or grappling training. Some of it looks a lot like modern wrestling. There are also, of course, many different martial arts traditions around the world, all of which we see statues, we see written words about chronicling what these guys were doing. Often there's all kinds of figurines and cave drawings, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so the idea of grappling is it's well documented, has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and yet in the case of Jujigatami, we don't see any renditions of Jujigatami outside of one country, Japan, until the 20th century, when Japan had opened up and began spreading their grappling technology around the world. We have pages upon pages upon pages of Western drawings, medieval drawings of ancient Western martial arts showing grappling, sword play, spear play, et cetera, but there's no Jujigatami in there. We have all kinds of figurines from around the world, various martial and grappling traditions, no Jujigatami. Um, it's a strange thing that Juji Katami appears to have arisen only in the Japanese martial arts tradition. Interestingly, there are pictures depicting Juji Katami going back quite a long way in Japanese history. Japan, of course, is a very isolated country for a long part of its history. And it's just an odd thing that this incredibly powerful move, which is such a fixture in modern day grappling, appears to have arisen only in one culture. It's been around a lot longer than, say, for example, the triangle, which is a relatively recent innovation, apparently also out of Japan. But to the best of our knowledge, there doesn't seem to be any use of Judigatami outside of Japan prior to the 20th century. At least we don't have any documented evidence of it. Um, so it's a fascinating thing to think that one culture came up with this move and seemed to hold it for so long. And then once it went exported, it became a huge part of the various grappling sports that were influenced by the Japanese tradition. You had the Russian sambo tradition, where Jujigatami plays a very important role. And if you watch international sambo, the performance of Jujigatami is very good. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, obviously, Jujigatami is one of the main moves. The armbar is one of the main moves that characterizes the sport. Even non uh, Asiatic traditions, the various catch wrestling styles of Europe and America seem to have taken on board variations of Jujigatami after the 20th century and recognized that it was a valuable addition to what they were already doing. Although, interestingly, catch wrestling always seems to have favored twisting arm locks, like Kimura variations or Americana variations over straight arm locks. That's always been an interesting element of the catch wrestling tradition. But nonetheless, you see good catch wrestlers and photographs demonstrating things that look a lot like Jujigatami variations after the 20th century. Um, but it's this fascinating thing that there's this long history of Jujigatami inside one country, but nowhere else. And I've always found that a fascinating thing about the history of the move.
So very interesting stuff. Now, Travis is someone who comes from judo. Travis, by the way, is maybe the, or if not, certainly one of the best, most well-rounded grapplers in the world. Travis is an Olympic silver medalist in 2016 in judo. Travis is an elite jiu-jitsu competitor. And Travis, you're one of the best practitioners of Jujigatami that I've ever seen, which is the straight armbar. Can you talk about how that's affected you? I mean, how you've used it in both judo and jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, for me, it's just one of those staples. It's part of every higher level judo player's game, whether they use it in competitions or not. They're definitely aware of it. They definitely grew up with it. And it's taught to just about every judo player around the world. There's no missing that technique. Like it's some hidden secret. Like in jujitsu, we can go into certain schools where people don't teach footlocks or wrist locks, but you can't go into a judo dojo anywhere in the world and not know what a juji is. It's just such a staple part of our culture and our sport.
And is that a move that you've been able to transition into jujitsu as you competed?
Yeah, it has a couple of different, variations and tactics to it because the movements between a jiu-jitsu player and a judo player are very different. So the amount of effort it takes to do it in judo is a lot higher because we have to explode and get there. If I don't have that arm straight in a matter of a couple of seconds, then I've lost it, even if I'm 95% of the way there, which has happened a lot of times to me in matches. When I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I can really take my time, focus more on the technique and the leverage points of it. Where in judo, it's more that guerrilla strength and power.
So one thing I've noticed the difference between judo and jujitsu would be it seems in jujitsu when people put on the jujigatami, it's either from the bottom from the guard or on the top from the mount or from the side control. In judo, the setup's a little different. It
Yeah,
seems to be more from the back. Is
yeah,
that
we
what you
set it
found?
up from turtle most of the time, and that's usually due to false attacks or bad attacks from opponents. Just working more on that transition style of the sport, which is most of judo, anyways. I'd say that's probably 85 to 95% of the newaza portion to judo, and that's why us as Americans we're so effective is because we focus more on the actual transitional part of the sport rather than the actual setups of we're on the ground, we start on the ground.
Yeah.
We start taking our leverage points as we're going to the floor. So we're playing both defense in the standing position, but also offense when we hit the ground. So we're starting ahead of the game once we're down there.
Sure, and that's why you feel like you're able to get into it so quickly from the back. In other words, a guy goes for a throw in judo, he misses, he goes down, and that's when
Yeah.
you're starting your attack.
Yeah. We'd already started.
So you're not going to let him get down, settle in. You're going to be starting your attack as he's going down and turtling up. That's when you're starting your attack.
If he's gotten down there and he's settled in, the only way to get him open is just violence.
Okay.
There's no technique to it. There's no niceties about it because he's already playing defense. I got 3 seconds. There's no such thing as a technique to get through somebody's defense in 3 seconds. Not when their sole purpose is to let you do nothing.
Cool. Okay. And John, how have you seen it applied in, say, sports other than jujitsu and judo, say sambo, for instance?
There's no question going back to the judo element. You're absolutely correct. The two biggest differences you see between applications of judogatami and jujitsu versus judo is time. Typically, a judo player has much less time to work with, and most of the setups to judogatami in jujitsu involve chest-to-chest situations, the two athletes facing each other. So it tends to be used from guard, mounts, top side control. In judo, it's almost always used in chest to back situations where there's a failed throw. Now there's an opportunity to jump on top of a guy, chest to back, turtle position, throw in a hook, and there's your judogatami. Usually finish with some kind of rolling sequence and ending in the familiar finishing position. Um, Similarly, in sambo, most of the finishes seem to come out of failed throws where someone ends up chest to back, and you see very, very high levels of skill involved in rolling people over from a kneeling position in turtle to one where they're flattened out on their back. And interestingly, you'll also see a lot in sambo of standing jujigatami attacks where people will jump into the move. And they've been using these kind of tactics for a long time. You'll see a lot of flying arm locks in sambo. Also, I noticed that the rate of flying arm locks is going up in judo these days.
They actually just banned that.
Really
It's a direct Tansukumake or a direct Shido as of mid this year.
interesting because
Yeah.
the numbers were increasing.
Yeah, especially from like 2015 to
Yeah,
towards 17, you really started to see him come back.
yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the IJF just pulled it.
Wow. They don't want anyone having fun,
Yeah, no.
Uh-huh.
huh? That's brutal because the success rate was getting very, very impressive.
Yeah.
And a Jujigatami attacked from the standing position. It's a surprising move, it it often offers a lesser thrower an opportunity to beat a better thrower.
Yeah.
You know, you're expecting one thing. Suddenly, a guy's got his full body weight on your arm in the standing position. You're crashing to the mat. One of the most famous episodes in judo history occurred with this when Isao Kano, one of the greatest judo players of all time, took on a relatively unknown Russian opponent in the mid-1960s. Now, at this time, Okano was literally a god of judo. He was one of the, pound for pound, probably the best in the world at that time.
65 kilos.
And and that's insane to think a guy 65 kilos is going out and winning all Japan's. It's
Wow.
just insane. But he got caught early on in one match by not a flying Judogatame, but a sitting Judogatame, where his opponent just sat back to the ground from standing position and just caught him. And one of the greatest of all time just got caught in a matter of seconds and had to tap. So in that Russian tradition, that Sambo tradition of attacking Judogatame from unexpected standing positions, that's an important part of the sport. I'm sad to hear it's been taken out of judo.
Yeah.
That's
There
sad.
are a couple players really making a name for themselves, pulling that move off.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, something that, John, you see a lot. How do you see Judogatame being used in MMA?
That's a fascinating question. One of the most obvious features of Judogatame is its versatility. It's one of those magical moves which is equally good with and without a gi. It's equally good standing and on the ground. It's equally good chest to chest and chest to back. It's equally good with a gi or without a gi. And it's equally good in both grappling and fighting. It has a very high percentage success rate in the sport of mixed martial arts. It's among the more highly regarded submission holds. And there have been athletes who specialize in it. You remember Ronda Rousey really made a career on Judogatame, became one of the biggest celebrities in the sport, largely as a result of her throwing ability and her Judogatame. Everyone knew it was coming. No one could stop it. It's because of her visibility in the sport. I think a lot of people now recognize Judogatame when it's being set up. You hear the crowd screaming when you see the setups being employed. Of all the main submission holds, I think it's become one of the most recognizable now, largely because of Ronda Rousey's success with it in competition. It's noticeable when you're out coaching at a major mixed martial arts event. Now, when you see someone getting closer to it, the crowd starts reacting. They know what's coming up. They understand it now. It's not like the early UFCs where people just had no idea what was happening. So its success in mixed martial arts it's proven. There's been great champions who used it repeatedly. It's been responsible for some great victories, outstanding matches that people still remember. And it's rare to see a couple of UFCs go by without an armbar in there somewhere. And so, yeah, it's absolutely vindicated both in grappling and in fighting.
I remember an early one where Frank Mir was in the guard. He was on Sylvia.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was the break almost happened right down here. It was
the
below the
forearm
elbow.
bone. Yeah. It's very unusual.
I think it goes to the principle you were teaching today, where the lever and fulcrum. It kind of matters most where you put the fulcrum, correct?
Yeah, I think in that case, the fulcrum may have been literally on the bone rather than the elbow.
Yeah.
Sometimes in those cases, things like many of the athletes wear steel cups
I was going to
for
right about to ask
protection.
that.
So
yeah.
I wonder if maybe that played a role in that break.
In the case of Judogatame, you must be able to not just enter into the move, but hold them and control them in the move for long periods of time. This video is largely bound up with exactly how to do this. How to keep people through 360 degrees of motion, rolling and controlling over time until finally we get the arm extended and victory is yours. A big part of this video will be showing exactly the way in which we apply force through the two legs onto our opponent. But always keep in mind this division principle. Always understand that each one of your legs has a distinct task associated with it. Understand what the tasks are, and you'll have a lot more success with Judogatame. The idea is that whenever we go to break a human joint, we must exert opposing forces in opposite directions at the same time upon the joint. Just as you would never tear a piece of paper with one hand, but always rip it using two hands in opposing directions, so too when you go to break the elbow. These are not the only principles of the Judogatame system, but they are important ones, and the ones I want you focusing on as you begin your study of Judogatame and to go forward into the future.